Welcome everybody to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Oz and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. Thank you everybody for joining us on this special live Twitch event as well, which we'll be doing obviously more of in the future here as well. And don't forget, you can always catch these episodes. Not only if you didn't catch it live on Twitch, it'll be available on our YouTube channel afterwards later on in the week. So check us out anywhere that you possibly can. But as for tonight, Tim, what are we talking about?
Tonight, we are going to wrap up the final part of this Netflix movie event with part 3, Fear Street, 1966. 1666.
That's why it's live, folks. Stay tuned. All right, Tim, give us the synopsis, bud.
The origins of Sarah Fear's curse are finally revealed as history comes full circle on a night that changes the lives of Shady Siders forever.
And ever. Shady Siders, the people always being shit on, apparently. So, all right, so there we have it. We have the completion of the Fear Street trilogy as Netflix has released them right now. So we started off with part 1, 1994, part 2 is 1978, and part 3, 1666. So here we start with the actual tale of Sarah Fear and why the curse of Shady Side exists as it is. So the actual show, this is where they take into they kind of bridge things together a little bit more. So in this case, we've already seen Sarah Fear a couple of times in the other movies. But in this one, they try to bridge it in terms of the actors playing various new roles.
Stupid.
Yeah. So here we have the girl who played Dina, plays Sarah Fear. The girl who played Sam plays Sarah Fear's girlfriend. Love interest. So we have literally the same characters playing the same roles with different names in a slightly different time period. I know what they were trying to do. I think they could have.
Yeah, they were trying to.
I was just going to say, I think they could have done it a lot better. And my first gripe, the actual Sarah Fear, like the girl who played the real Sarah Fear, I think that she should have actually been Sarah Fear.
I said that to you like weeks ago when we watched it, because soon as she came on the screen and redid the curse and the camera's looking right at her, I was like, I believe her. It's like I just like they were trying to be like American Horror Story, and I don't like that. Like okay, yes, we're gonna get these these actors and actresses to play multiple parts and stuff like that, and the guy who played Tommy in '78, I thought was amazing in 1666. I thought
it's probably
he was
the best
great,
part, actually, to be honest.
I didn't look at him and him be the same person, but her brother Josh, this is Josh, but he was dressed in kind of like old timey peasant clothes, and like, the accents as coming from an Irish descent.
Oh my god!
I was kind of offended. I was kind of offended. but again, this brings what Adam said a minute ago about the real actress that played Sarah Fear. She's Irish, and she has the dark hair, the big blue eyes. I believed her, and if the whole movie had her as Sarah Fear, my impression of this would have been 10 times better. 10
Okay, let's
times
talk
better.
about the elephant in the room here, which would be COVID-19. They decide to shoot 3 movies, keep the actors and everything all in one little bubble, and they shoot a movie or 3 movies with the same actresses, actors, the whole thing, maybe to try and keep the set safe.
Uh,
We ever think about this?
yeah. Well,
Hire a few more actors.
easy with your finger wagging there, Aaron. Easy. They filmed
I'm just being
94.
upset.
Well, they filmed 94 and they filmed 1666 at the same time, and then they filmed 78. So that the idea of the Ronas preventing
It's baloney.
The road.
How many
could be.
people are on a set this big? 400, 300?
That's true.
Well, you couldn't have an extra 6 actors? Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's calm
true.
the fuck
And the thing
down.
is, like I get from a story standpoint, it's Dina watching this through her like Sarah Fear's eyes. I get that, but you only needed to establish that at the
And
start.
then I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? I felt that the actress who played Sarah Fear was better. She was really Irish, or at least did a hell of an Irish accent. But I don't know. Like it was like I felt like I was watching 1994 again, set in the colonial times, because here we have Dina and Sam, and we got the lesbian relationship and how it's looked upon and frowned upon in this setting of this movie, and we're gonna love each other and blah blah blah. Okay, I get it. I saw it in the first one and I liked it. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
But
Right?
they were, yeah, and
But
they were
if
in
they-
M. Night Shyamalan's The
But a
Village.
twist.
with a twist.
That's
But-
exactly when I saw that Village. I was like, am I watching The Village or am I watching 1666?
The thing is, again, easily fixed. If they would have had different actors and actresses, it wouldn't have felt the same. It's a different story in a different time period, and it's such a shame because I felt the set, the costumes, were pretty good.
I agree.
But like it's just little gripe really ruined it for me.
No, it really did. You're right, Tim. Like it's hard to get sets. It's hard to get period piece sets really well done. The Witch did it a few years ago, blew everybody out of the water. This movie, when I looked at the period piece sets, fucking gorgeous. Like they really did knock it out of the park. Set designers and the costume experts and everything else, yes, fucking standing ovation. Wrong actors and actresses in certain parts, and it took me out of it.
Yeah.
Like I really did feel like, okay, I'm not really there now. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, like, and immediately when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, they're trying to do what American Horror Story does.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, but you could have established that with 1978 and had all the same actors and actresses playing the same part, but you didn't. You had different characters playing these characters, or different actors playing these characters, and then you come to the third one, and it's like, oh, here we go. No.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's weird.
It was.
My biggest gripe is the movie was fucking dark. Like I couldn't see what was going on half the movie.
Well, they didn't have electricity then, Josh.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have
Get some
electricity.
fucking
back
lanterns,
Get
bud.
your fucking lanterns. Couldn't pay the oil man for lantern oil.
Yeah.
then. Can I just say the biggest thing that really made me mad watching this as a whole, and maybe no, you know what? I'm going to save it for my rant at the end. I'm going to save it for
Fair
my rant.
enough.
I have a little bit of a rant. Okay, but go ahead. So next topic of discussion.
Okay.
Adam.
All right. So continue down the rabbit hole just a little bit. So we have 1666, where we come to find that Sarah Fear and her love interest, it's a love that's not meant to be, and basically they get accused of witchcraft for their lesbian fling, and they get held to a certain standard and regard, to which the town decides that, well, they're just going to call her out as a witch, and after all the random bad shit that's going on, just blame it on their sins and decide to hang her.
Which is very
It is.
believable.
It's 1666. Like, that shouldn't be a surprise
No.
to anyone. They
No.
shouldn't have been caught off guard when they're like, "Oh, you're a witch." It's like you're engaging in lesbianic activities in the 1600s. That's one way ticket to
It
Hangtown.
is. It is. I mean, we look back at it and we're like, man, like, I was watching this with my son, and my son was like, would they really have hung somebody for? I'm like, yes. They wouldn't have given them as much opportunity as they did to quote unquote get away Scooby Doo style, like they did in this movie.
Boars all get
Yeah.
born. It's like, oh, no one can bear 6 boars. You got a magic touch. Boom, witch, burn her.
Yeah, exactly. I said they were, there was an ignorance in the air, and they went with it, and the church was a big part. Like, at this time, the church really did push on that kind of a thing, right? They all looked to the pastor, and what did the pastor do? The devil. So they follow what was the salvation, what they would believe is their salvation. So it's
She was
See,
a
the thing,
pork prophet.
pork
That's what she
prophet.
was, yeah.
but
She's a
the
peepee.
problem with this movie, and it was the problem with it's the problem with all three, is that it's written by someone that fucking is writing with modern actors in mind, delivering. Like, I didn't feel like I was really, like, again, watched The Witch, and that felt like the 1600s or whenever it took place. Whereas this just felt like a play of a bunch of like modern day people dressed up in costumes delivering the lines, and it's like it just didn't feel legit. Like, I didn't buy into it. And 94, they got away with it. I didn't notice it as much, but that was one of the reasons why I rated 78 so low, is because that didn't feel like 78 to me. Like, settings and costumes aside, um, just the acting, like, I don't know. It's like they could have did better.
Absolutely.
You gotta do stuff with your film editing and things like that. Like, you gotta have just a tad bit of grain. Like, they think that 4K back in, if you're looking from something from 78, but you're watching a new film that's being shot in 4K or 8K or whatever, it's not going to feel like that. You
Well,
gotta
Josh
put
has
some
brought
sort
that
of
up
filter,
before. Watching
right?
what don't watch this,
Yeah.
beloved movie from the fucking 80s in 4K, because you see all the stuff.
Yeah, just
Third
Right.
generation
movies
VHS.
like the original Friday the 13th, fucking Evil Dead, like the original Nightmare. Like, those are films that look best on a bootleg VHS that's been transferred 3 times.
100%.
They look
I agree.
amazing that way. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I will admit I was on my phone for a little bit during this movie, and then I thought to myself,
You're
like,
right.
they get to the hanging part, and I'm looking at it going,
Wait a
what
tick.
is this, over already? And then let's talk about the fucking surprise for a minute. The best part of this entire fucking movie, to be honest, was when all of a
To
sudden
you.
it clips over 1994 part 2.
Yeah, I was surprised with the title card, and I thought it was kind of, you know, okay, right? Because it made sense. It was the main story takes place in 94. They got to finish it in
Mhm.
94, but they could have just made another movie.
They could have. But, taking that into effect, I really enjoyed the fact that they at least went about the way that they did, where they separated the movie very evenly down the middle. And they said, okay, we're
Yeah.
done with 1666. Now, let's conclude 1994. So this movie was now almost 2 hours long, because about 50 some odd minutes of it was 1666. Like I said, it seemed a little bit weird that it was cutting off so quickly. And then title card, I was happy again all of a sudden. I was like, hey, let's get some more. And it was nice. Like I said, I really liked the idea that they separated it at that point. And like you said, title card was a good surprise. So
Let's get some more
get some more
94.
94. And then we have the continuation of 94, and the continuation of 94 was literally, how are we now going to set things right? And they come up with some really interesting scenarios with this. I thought it was real well done, because now she's seen it through the eyes of Sarah Fear. She's seen that the good family is responsible for everything. She knows who the villain is, and she has an idea of what they need to do now. Right? So now it's a matter of coming up with a plan. So they bring back in old Ziggy and old Ziggy. So they bring back in old Ziggy, and they bring in a new counterpart. Well, my favorite character probably from this movie now, the the friggin' janitor.
What was his name?
Oh,
What's his name?
crikey. You know what? He's my favorite character from this one, and I'm trying to think of what the hell his name
The
is.
lead custodial engineer.
Yeah, he was
Lead
great.
custodial engineer. Yes. Crap. His name's eluding me. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to say I don't really quite remember. All right. Either which way, he's friggin' hilarious as shit. He's just worried. The first thing that, you want to help us kill the sheriff? Yeah. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, there was kind of like a heads. Yeah.
I'll get.
Didn't they do kind of like a montage of like his memories of how like the sheriff taught him, treated him like shit? Like, these are your spray paint cans and all this. Like,
yeah. Because when he finds the actual spray paint cans in like the sheriff's shit in the car, he's like, motherfucker. Yeah, that motherfucker. Right? Framing him for shit, right? It was awesome. So they get to the mall. They have a plan as what they're going to do, because the tree's right there. So they figure that the what she had seen, the altar and everything, is right there around where the tree is and everything else. And they came up with an interesting idea. I like what they were trying to do. They were trying to separate the what would be the oncoming killers. Tim got it again. Coffee out of nowhere.
these goddamn Patreons finding out where I live.
So they separate all the killers using the different storefronts with the mall security rails to stop them from killing who they're, the Dina, and move on from there so that they can figure out the ending. And I thought it was pretty well done. The best part of 1666 was, in fact, not 1666. It was 94 Part 2.
Oh my god, when they all started killing each other in the food court.
That was wicked.
I was like, this is the ultimate, like, because I mean, they weren't really, the horror icons that we know and love, but like,
It was like their.
It was like
it
was like tossing Jason and Michael Myers and Chucky in the same ring, going and Ghostface, and letting them go at it. Chucky, because there was a little kid with the baseball bat. That's about it.
I wanted more of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was his story?
Yeah, just some brutal little kid with a baseball bat. Interesting. All right, let's move on a little bit here, though. Let's talk. I want to hear about Josh's notes. Please, Josh, could you please regale us with your feelings?
Beg more.
Please.
I will do my best.
I love you, Josh. Please.
No, thank you. Gross. My first viewing of Fear Street 1666 took place August 3rd, 2021 at 10:47 p.m. They start out talking about like 1600 STDs, and I was fucking weak because I had to re-listen to it. I'm like, wait, what did she just say? And she's going on about spending a night with Mad Thomas, and she got the itch like a dog, so she had to go to the fucking witch out in the woods to get pretty much some penicillin.
Yeah.
And then the whole concept of a bunch of like teenagers in the 1600s going out to get these poison berries just to get high. I wrote here, practicing lesbianism in 1666. This is exactly how you get labeled a witch. So at this point, I was like, well, Sarah Fear's not even really a witch. She was just gay, and they called her a witch, and that's the whole film. Here we go. Does anyone know what dalliance meant? Because I had to look it up. They kept saying it, and I felt pretty stupid.
Off the top of my head,
They say it like 8 times, and it literally just means like a casual fling.
Oh.
So when when he's talking to his daughter or whatever about Sarah and Hannah having dalliance out in the woods. They're talking about like just casual hooking up.
I am so going to use that next time with my wife.
Yeah, that's a
Wouldst
good one.
thou
Have a
prefer
little
a
romp
simple
of
dalliance?
Dalliance in
Come here,
the,
my fair
the,
lady.
the
Let's
tub of hot.
dalliance.
My big gripe with this film is it was too dark. I can't tell what the fuck is happening, and it almost felt like one of those
Josh
shaky
with his
cam
little
movies.
his little eyes, yeah.
They're in the woods and it's shaking around, and I can't tell what's happening. It was making me so mad.
Shit.
I gotta rewind it. I'm like, what is happening?
What a sin.
It was definitely good. He definitely struck the deal. It's pretty obvious at this point. And then I wrote, obvious plot point is revealed. Good is bad. Ripped her hand right off. That's pretty crazy. That whole scene where her hand gets torn right off.
Awesome.
And one of my favorite closed caption viewings of all time, when she's crawling under the house, it says optimistic music.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's horrible.
It's a telling sign.
You kind of fucked up here, Sarah. Sarah kind of fucked up like really bad. She got away from good, and she pops out in the middle of the village, and they're like, "Oh wait, they still think I'm a witch. That was a really bad idea."
Mhm.
And then it switches over to modern, or I guess the '90s, and Good just pulls the gun on the kid like immediately. That's crazy. Sheriff and mayor. The Goods have really low expectations. Like, if I'm making deals with Beelzebub and fucking Satan, the last thing I'm gonna do is get a small time mayor gig and the chief of
I was
police.
thinking the exact same thing the whole time. I'm like, dude, if they're
It's like
pulling,
you can have anything. You're making deals with demons, and you're like, a modest $90,000 salary and a mayor gig. That's
I want to
all
be
I
the
need.
mayor of the town
In
I
a
She's
grew
small
up in.
town.
The police
Yeah.
officer's house at the end was huge. Josh would be aiming for the stars. He'd be like,
You're
I'm
right.
president.
Right for the moon.
Yeah. As the store's lead custodial engineer. Excellent. I love the scene where they're talking about the CD players. They're like, "Oh, this piece of junk, it's twice the size of my tech, and it skips as soon as you look at it." They're just going on and on. Very funny. Super Soaker's full of blood. I feel like I've seen that somewhere else. I don't know if it was like a werewolf movie or a vampire movie or something. Oh, Holy Water, Lost
Yeah.
Boys. That's what I'm thinking.
From
Yeah.
Dusk Till Dawn is, and
Lost
From
Boys
Dusk Till
or-
Dawn.
or, From Dusk Till
Yeah.
Dawn, yeah.
Yeah, Dusk Till Dawn, and they had the
Yeah.
condoms.
Yeah.
That's not a bandolier. Yeah, that's right.
The Konami code thing was like funny when the first one when he was like muttering it under his breath, but I feel like it just like was overkill in this one where he keeps going on about it, and they have like a whole monologue about it, and it's like this is unnecessary. The black light and glow paint is pretty 94. I'll give them that. It was pretty cool. The cops ordering them to drop their weapons, like it's a Super Soaker.
Yeah, but that was
Final
common in
weapon.
the 90s. There were stories of like kids getting shot pointing a Super Soaker at cops and shit. That really happened though. That's the worst part. It's like it's a bright yellow water gun. Who the hell would mistake that for a real weapon?
But back then, you could buy a plastic gun that looked real.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Your toy guns looked real without the tips,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your Super Soakers were bright neon green, and they were weapons.
That's right. Yeah.
The book armor, that was kind of neat. She had like books duct taped to her.
Yeah, Fear Street books.
Yeah, the Fear Street books. Yeah. And then at the end, I was like, how are they going to explain the 3 dead cops? Like, you're going to jail for a very long time. And those were my notes.
Now, I've got to ask though, because your notes don't seem entirely complete to me. Who here, without saying anything, watched to the end of the credits?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't say anything about the end credit scene then.
Well, no, it was just I'm glad it didn't end on a happy ending. You see a hand come out and grab like their version of the Necronomicon.
But it was kind of weird because all I could think to myself is it's a police crime scene, and they've just left like everything's documented,
Mhm.
but they
Yeah.
always bag it up right after they've taken the fucking pictures and everything. And I'm like, they left this fucking mysterious, dark, brooding book just laying there.
I feel like it was kind of lame
Yeah.
because it didn't make any sense. That, like
Yeah,
you
how
just
did they
said,
even
it was a
get
it
down
was
there
a,
first?
and if I'm remembering correctly, I almost feel like it was a little kid that took it, like
You
someone in like 8 or
Yeah, they
9
seem
years old
small.
took it, like a yeah.
Yeah. Definitely didn't seem like an adult took it. That's for sure. So maybe it was the little butcher kid. Somehow. I don't know. That'd be dope. Okay. Dope. All right.
I still don't really understand why all the monsters turned to dust when Good got shot.
I don't know.
Because the curse was through
He
him.
was, yeah.
Like, he was
was-
the guy that was keeping
Right.
it alive. Right.
So Good's father was before him,
Right.
and Good's father presumably died at one point.
Yeah, but it's almost like
passed on.
it gets passed on. Like,
So maybe Good has a son, and that's his son
Good-
picked up the book.
Good's bastard
Oh.
child.
Ooh,
little good,
Little bad
Little
good.
little bad.
Good.
little bad good.
Nice.
little
All right, guys, we're going to take just a 2-minute break. We're going to say hi to one of our dear friends. Coming back in a minute.
Hey guys, I'm Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and you're listening to They Cast from the Coast. Yeah!
2 minutes.
Well, what do you mean that wasn't a 2-minute break? It was like a minute or so. We're always bullshitting.
12 minutes. 12 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't long enough, Adam.
All right, we'll make longer breaks next time. It's good for.
You need to articulate the proper amount of time.
All right, Tim.
Not say we'll be back in 2 minutes and it's 33 seconds.
I have failed you all. Okay. Now it's
You're right.
time to discuss with Aaron some FX work. Aaron, talk to us about what you saw in this movie.
You really stress the
Trying to get off the
work.
30-second fucking bumper scenario here. Aaron, hi.
Yeah. It was supposed to be 2 minutes,
shut up.
Adam. What about all our viewers that are going to the washroom and stuff and thought they had 2 minutes?
Well,
The 3 people and like
Here we
it's all 3 of us.
Straight to my point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all VFX. There's my notes.
oh, neat. There was a hand. I'm pretty sure the hand was some sort of practical effect.
Maybe they might have laid it in there. I don't know. Anyway, I got a few notes. I only took a few notes because I didn't really need that many because there was a lot of VFX in it, and the VFX were really good. Some of them were a little iffy, but for the most part, the VFX I thought were really good. I really liked the second installment, which was 1978. You can't really screw up a serial killer witch theme at a camp. That's where I started with this whole thing. 1966 has started out okay, sticking with the whole period film idea. And then I just had good costuming written.
You said 1966 and
Did I?
I love you
The
for
good
it.
old
Yep.
Salem witch trials of 1966, everybody.
Damn,
Yeah,
Tim,
right
damn.
after
Right after
Woodstock.
Woodstock, they
I got
burned the
your head.
hippies.
You're a
Living
false-
rent free in your head, Aaron.
You psychologically got me, Tim.
Yeah, I did.
The set looks straight out of The Village, M. Night Shyamalan. That's exactly where my brain went to. The pig scene was pretty awesome, gruesome, where the mama pig was chowing down on the little ones. I don't think those were CG. They look like they were maybe some fake piglets
so,
with some blood and stuff. And they did a really good job on those because it was pretty disgusting. All the dead animals in this were really convincing, I thought, especially when they were pulling the dog up from the well and that kind of thing. It looked kind of rigged, a little bit stiff maybe. But other than that, the pastor scene with all the eyes piled up in the center of the walkway in the church was creepy. I thought that was one of the creepier parts, just the shot of the eyeballs laying in the middle of the floor, and you saw that one glazed over eyeball just like, right? I'm like, ugh, that was that's messed up. And initially, I thought it was just the pastor that had dug his eyes out, and him tapping that hook that he would have cleaned the eyes out with all the children and stuff. That was,
I feel like that was a really well done scene.
yeah,
Like,
Probably
Yeah.
the best scene in the movie, to be honest, especially the 1666 portion. That was creepy.
Right.
That had a good atmosphere to it.
yeah. And I'm trying to describe it accurately enough. If the screen was too dark, or if
Yeah, I don't even remember this scene.
the floss was over your eyes a little bit there, Josh. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck's sake.
The hand being severed with the dagger was kind of cool. How it kind of half got chopped off, and it was kind of hanging there a little bit, and you could see very quickly some of the maybe the ligaments or tendons and the blood and maybe cartilage hanging out a little bit, and then it was torn off. I thought that was done really well. Again, VFX. I could see some VFX stuff going on there. It was combined with practical effects. I like the fact that good is evil. Thought that was kind of neat. I thought that it was a tie-in from the other films, but I was getting a little confused as I went. We discussed this earlier with how the actors maybe shouldn't have played these separate roles and things. Jamie jumped in, my wife jumped in like in 78, and we watched that yesterday, and she kind of had a hard time following what was going on because she saw clips from the first one from 1994. But about halfway through this, she kind of figured out what was going on, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you got to watch them in succession. Definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you can't just jump. Love the montage of death scenes as the sheriff Good touched the pulsating mass. So that pulsating witchy.
Yeah, what was that all about?
I don't know. He touched it, and then it was like all the kills, all in like a span of 10 seconds. I was like, yeah! I was literally upstairs going, that rocked.
Yep.
The movie could have ended right there. I would have been good. And then at the very end with the book being stolen, thought they did a really good job on the book. It looked gnarly and old, and when it got stolen, I'm like, okay, so they're gonna make some more probably here.
I liked the book that it's obvious correlation and inspired by the Necronomicon, but it
Right.
didn't look like the Necronomicon. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
Yeah.
It looked like a witch's
Like,
It
tome.
looked like
like-
it was compiled.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it looks like it's had many owners and it's been compiled over years.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like
I figure you really get into it, and
Yeah.
there's probably pages that are slid in there that have fallen out or people have added and shit like that, right? Yeah.
Overall, all the makeup was done well. Right down to like some sweat effects and some dirt and things like that. Yeah, I thought the makeup portion of the whole thing combined with the VFX was done well in these. Even when they had the little bit of a, I haven't seen this too much in many horror films, but when you get hit with an axe and it just kind of grazes you and you get that little body wiggle, just that tiny little wiggle, like you've been grazed, and that really added the effect of being grazed by something instead of just a thud, right? It was more of this little right? And to me, visually, that was A1. I don't know if they decided to just do that. I don't know who came up with that, but that was fantastic. Really adds to the effects part of it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, those are my notes.
Okay. Nothing really bad by any means. I mean,
No,
there's some good stuff in
No,
there.
and it compares to the other ones too. Like 78 had a lot of VFX going on too, with heads being chopped off and axes being embedded in their foreheads and shit like that, right? But I think that it was a combination, like I said, with VFX and practical, but they leaned more on the VFX part of it.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Thank you, Aaron. Anybody else want to talk about anything the VFX that they wanted to add to that, or stuff that they saw?
I wish there was more practical.
I do-
Especially like the fact that it's like 1666 and like it didn't have to be anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like you could have, I don't know.
You know what?
There
The
were
other
no
thing I should add,
kills?
yeah, the other thing I should add is the stabbing effects and things were pretty good.
Yeah.
they had like the the blade of the knife or whatever. Every time somebody got stabbed, it felt like a good scream stab. Just like oh man, they just took one right. So I mean, there's quite a few gags in it, quite a few illusional gags throughout the film with stabs and axes and things like that. So I think they did a tight job on the effects stuff. Besides the fact that I really like to see it more practical, like you said.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Tim.
Yes.
It is a very special time of the show.
Yes.
It is trivia time with Jam.
Okay, so I didn't make up anything for this installment because I was annoyed and I didn't bother. And there's not really a lot of trivia for part 3 anyway, but we will go through it anyway. Good was also the surname of a real prevalent family during the Salem witch trials in real life. So the goods were real. The only film in the trilogy to actually reference Fear Street, the actual street. Although this is the third film in the Fear Street trilogy, it was actually filmed second, after part 1, before part 2. It was actually the first of 3 to be filmed. So,
Yeah, that does make sense.
oh yeah, okay. There was a period in there.
Josh's bullshit meter would be going off the scale right now if this was fake.
I know. Exactly. All right, let me read it again. Although this is the third film in the Fear Street trilogy, it was actually filmed second, after part 1. So they did part 1, then part 3, then part 1, part 2, and then they actually filmed 78.
What the fuck are you even saying?
He went.
I feel like I just had a stroke.
He went that way.
Basically, they did the 94 stuff, and then they did the 1666 stuff. So all the stuff that was those 2 movies was filmed first and second, and then they did 1978 last.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Thanks. All right. Author R.L. Stine visited the set during filming.
I should hope.
Yeah. Every state in the nation has a code for someone who is considered mentally unstable. While the official code differs from state to state, California's is 5150 code and is used as slang in every state and uniformly understood.
So a 5150 is just a crazy person.
I guess. Does that make sense, Aaron? You think so?
In Canada, we have different codes. Like ours would be like a 1033S, or they'd label it with a letter afterwards.
Why an
like
S for silly?
Suicide, right?
Or I take that back.
That got really dark.
Yeah, that got really dark. I take that back. For silly. Sorry.
We have a 1033S, which means silly. They're being silly.
He's really fucking silly.
Yeah. No, we've got a different. It varies between provinces and things like that, but and the states, each state you go to, I think they have different 10 codes as well. Right? Yeah. So that's super confusing. But yeah.
Well, blink and you miss it. At 11 minutes and at 11:53, so 11 minutes and 53 seconds, while Sarah is turning the pages of the book, a glimpse of Sarathoth is shown. Sarathoth is part of the Kabbalah in the Jewish mysticism, and at 12:02, there's a drawing of a figure resembling Baphomet.
Yeah, I saw the Baphomet.
So they're trying to really put things in the background. Anyways, after killing Nick, Dina removes her coat to show Sam her body armor made of books. The books are various actual Fear Street titles, including The First Evil, Fear Street Cheerleaders #1. That was Adam's favorite.
Close.
He's got the first.
Close, but it was good.
All right, last one. When Sarah Fear is buried, her Her legs are crossed in the same way as the figure in the Hanged Man tarot card, which represents self-sacrifice. Sarah allowed herself to be hung. Allowed herself to be hung, sacrificing herself to save Hannah.
So is that like a little bit of foreshadowing?
Guess.
Meh.
Yes. Anyways, that was trivia time.
With
And
Tim.
Oh.
Wow.
All
The
right.
outro.
Woo.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
It was kind of lacking. I apologize. It's just there wasn't a lot of trivia, and I didn't want to make something up.
Because you were annoyed.
I was annoyed.
All right. Fair enough. Well, if that's the case, then let us do a round table and discuss our final thoughts and give our rating for the movie. And I will start tonight with Aaron. Yow.
I knew he was going to pick Aaron, Josh. I knew he was going to pick
Always.
Aaron first. He always picks Aaron first. When Aaron hasn't been on,
And he's always so excited. When
he's
when
always so
says
excited.
Tim or Josh, he's not like, oh, it's really exciting times.
Yeah.
No.
You're not evil enough, you two.
I'll try to show some excitement for you two later. Aaron!
Okay. What does my brain think about this whole thing? I didn't mind it. It wasn't my favorite. I like the second one better, but I know we're doing this one, so I'm gonna get right down to the nitty-gritty. I think the combination of VFX and makeup effects, and this is solely based tonight on what I saw for makeup effects and things like that. The storyline kind of confused me here and there, just because they use the same actors and things, and I shouldn't have gone for 2 seconds and poured myself a glass of water at one point. It's probably the worst time I probably could have done it. I was just wondering why people were getting shot with illuminescent paint and then killing one another. Wrong time to leave.
Netflix couldn't find the pause button. I don't understand.
I could have, but I didn't think it was that big of an issue.
What's going on?
The costumes were really good. The makeup was good. I thought that when they were trying to tie everything together from all three films, that I did follow it pretty good. I thought it was kind of neat how they started in 94 and kind of ended in 94 and had a little bit of fill in between with 1666 Tim and 78. Yeah. I liked how they kind of tied it up, and I do like how at the very end they kind of continued it so you could see what was happening. I hate when movies cut right off and you don't get like the closure on things. Even though the book was taken at the very end by a grubby set of hands at the crime scene, obviously it leaves it open for another maybe few films, for this thing to start all over again. But, I can't really elaborate too much more on it. Was it a decent 2 hour? Well, I probably could have gone home and sculpted a bit more or gone to the studio and sculpted or something instead of watching this. But I'm going to give it a PG. You gotta kind of, I don't want to shit on it, because if you start with the first one, you kind of got to finish it and see how it goes, right? So watch them all.
With Phantasm?
If you're gonna watch them all, and
Is
just
that what happened with you in Phantasm?
what's that? You never mind. We're
you
not
had to watch
talking
them
about Phantasm here.
Son of a bitch!
I can't believe you've done this.
Oh man.
Anyway, that's my take on it. I can't really it's hard for me to elaborate. Makeup effects were decent, but and I like how they came together with the VFX. Like I said earlier, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. Mind you, that would have been cool in this movie, but whatever.
Beating a dead horse?
That would have been a great
That
effect.
would have been a practical effect. Practical effect.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a PG.
There you go. Tim!
No, you got to sell it. Really sell it. I want to see the twinkle in your fucking eyes.
All right, we're going to have to move on to the next one. It's my buddy Tim!
That was good. I'm amused.
I know. I felt that, even though it was fake, but I felt it. What can I say about this movie? I was bored. I was bored. I honestly gave it a really honest, fair shot because I let my expectations of 1978 get too high, and I brought them back down. So I went into this not expecting anything. Um, I'm glad I did because if I was really excited, I would have been very disappointed. So, with that being said, first of all, the accents were fucking god awful. There was a couple of the older actors, like Sarah Fier's father, who happened to be the guy from Stranger Things. He was the teacher that they all thought was cool. That was teaching them about the fucking quantum shit. His fucking accent was dope.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I felt that, like I said, as being from Irish descent, I found it offensive.
Personally offensive to you and your
Personally,
people.
I was personally offended. Um, one of the things that really made me mad was I don't like how they made Sarah Fear a good guy. Um, right after Hannah gets captured and Sarah Fear goes into the church, um, they're talking and she's like, I'll rescue you and we'll be able to go someplace where we're happy. And Hannah's like, you can't, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get hung and blah, blah, blah. And Sarah's like, if they want a witch, I'll give them a witch. And I'm like,
Yeah,
all right.
that was the appropriate story arc. Like I was waiting for that. That
Yeah,
was
go
exciting.
carry
That's
on
what
their
I want.
asses.
Someone that was good that fucking turned bad because of love. I can get behind that 100%. That's why Anakin fell. He loved Padme. But I digress. Anyways, so but then the movie goes on and it's like, no, Sarah's not the bad guy at all because she's not. We're gonna make fucking good the bad guy. That twist was, I wasn't expecting that, but I almost would have preferred if she just joined up with him. You know what I mean? As opposed to running away and her hand getting cut off. Like I didn't like that victim shit. I didn't like it.
True.
The biggest thing is that as much as I appreciated Dina in the first movie, having that actress play her again and play Sarah Fear was a mistake because the actress that they actually got to play Sarah Fear was fantastic. And I would have liked this movie a lot more. I felt that the fake accent and the modern take on these characters that are living in the 1600s just wasn't realistic. I didn't like it. Um, this movie didn't really have a lot of kills that were memorable for me. It was cool that it did the card and went to 94 part 2, and okay, cool. We got to see some of the killers that we like. Okay, cool. There was a big fight in the middle of the thing. I like the kind of setup in the mall. I dug all that stuff, but then I don't know, it's just I felt like part 1 was pretty good. Like I liked it, but then it was just it's progressively got worse, and I felt that part 3 was just they're calling it in, and I was disappointed, and I'm not going to get this 6 hours back. Not getting it back. Netflix owes me fucking something for the 6 hours I invested into these movies. But all in all, I'm glad I watched them. I'm not going to like absolutely shit on this because um, they did wrap it up. They did leave it open for more. I didn't hate everything. I'm also gonna, like my previous one and shared with Aaron, I'm gonna also rate it a PG.
Excellent. Excellent.
No PG, Adam.
Yeah. Oh, shut up.
Not a,
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right.
What was that from?
I don't know. I said excellent, and Aaron's complaining that you gave it a PG, not an excellent. Oh, okay. I got to change what I said. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay.
Hey, all
All right.
right.
Playing ball here. And now, Josh.
Let's go, Josh.
It was weird. This th- this film also annoyed me for a couple of reasons. I love films that go over multiple eras, like the Dracula series that you get to see him and you see him in like the 1600s and the 1400s, and then you see him in modern day, and some other famous TV shows and films where you see like vampires go through like the 60s and then the 90s and then the 2000s and then back to the 1500s. Like that's really neat to me. I like to see characters go through that. Uh, and it frustrated me even more so when this one didn't do it right. Uh, the accents were atrocious, as Tim said. It reminds me a lot of the old Buffy the Vampire series when you'd have like the flashbacks with Angela's
Yeah.
and their Irish accents were so horrible. um, Other than that, the movie was extremely dark. Half the time, I didn't know what was going on, and when I was able to see what was going on, it was so boring I didn't want to watch it. For me, it is 2 was the highlight, followed by 1, followed by 3. I think the only thing 3 did was successfully wrap up the story and give a little bit more background to Sarah Fear. It did not go the story arc, which would have been better. Like I said, I would have liked to see some sort of revenge, something to make Sarah
her
a proper
actually
witch. Yeah,
being bad,
right.
evil,
Well, not even evil, but some sort of
evil.
revenge arc. Something.
She's a witch. That's what, like, especially back in this, 18. If here I go again with the dates, 1600s, right? Like,
She wasn't a witch. That was
I
Yeah, but
know
she should have
a
been.
warlock.
she should have been. She should have been a witch.
100%. These
Right.
goofs are making deals with the devils, and
And it's called Fear Street, and I'm gonna watch more, and it's not even about a witch.
right.
It's about some woman that
I've been lied
sacrificed
to.
herself. I've been
lied
fucking
to the
lied
whole
to.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
But
Sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
ultimately, I'm going to rate this one a G. I think it is the least of the 3 and lacking in several areas. The best thing about the part 3 is the flashback to the bread slicer.
Yeah. I agree.
Love
I
the
like
fucking bread slicer. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was A1.
And now it's time for
Oh my God!
Adam!
Somebody did it for me. Thank you, Tim. That made my night. All right. Okay. I share many of the same sentiments as you guys.
Oh, we haven't
Sentiments.
heard that in a
That's right.
while. Sentiments.
Ooh.
Sentiments. That's right. So first off, I was bored as shit when it comes to the first part of this, the 1666. Like an
There's an
I can
echo.
hear like an echo. There's no longer an echo. This is good.
Aaron.
I was
Not me.
I was bored with 1666, the first part of it. I literally was looking at my watch. I was checking my phone. I understood what they were trying to do, but ultimately, I think that the first 50 minutes could have been condensed into like 10 to 15 minutes, telling some sort of a general flashback story, which would have been a lot better with the real Sarah Fear, which would have, a different actress that looked like Sam, but wasn't Sam. You know what I mean? Like, don't put the same people in there, put some real people in there with the real accents, get them going. I agree, it would have been a lot cooler if it would have been like a Carrie type fucking scenario. It's like they want a witch, they got a witch. Even if she didn't have like supernatural powers, but she went fucking nuts and like stabbed some people or some shit. And on her day of hanging, she basically spit on the ground and cursed them. You know what I mean? And that was like the birth of a true witch curse legend. You know what I mean? That shit would have been cool. But yeah, like you're right. It kind of fell flat because it was just kind of like, no, she died for love. Who gives a fuck?
She's a
a good person who died for love.
And the guy that was named Good was
And
really
the
bad.
guy named Good was really bad. That's right.
Good guy.
Solomon Good was one of the best of the creepy, the creepy type characters that was in this movie. Yes, I agree that the church scene was the best part in that section. But
Yeah,
reality being, by the time the 1666 portion itself is over, I look back at it and went, I'll probably never watch that part again. Like literally, I don't care if I ever watch that part of the movie ever again. The Witch,
When are you gonna watch part 1 and 2 and not part?
No,
3?
I'll watch part 1, 2.
weird.
I'll put part 3 on fast forward until I get to 94 part 2. There you go.
I'll do you one better. I'll probably not watch this ever again.
There you go. There you go.
I'm scared of red moss.
What?
I'm scared of red moss.
I would. You know how much like I would watch the first Phantasm movie again before I watch
Yes.
No, that's
Aaron is
silly.
slowly winning you
No.
over.
the first one. The first one, I'd watch it again if I didn't have to watch.
One of these days we'll make you decide.
That was my shooter McGavin.
Shooter. So
I'm gonna write that this date at this time. Just one second.
he's writing it down. That's a win. Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah, 10 years from now, we're still doing this show, episode 1000. And I'll say something that he doesn't agree with. And he'd be like, do you remember on this date in 2021, you said,
I don't remember if I put on clean underwear. All right.
Yeah.
So in the end, I was gonna give this a G rating. But by the time that the movie wrapped up and 1994 Part 2 kicked in, it kind of rekindled some of my love for what was going on because I really enjoyed the first one. That's the only reason I'm gonna go the direction I am. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a PG. But that was just because of 1994 Part 1. I was even considering a rated S for shit on this movie. But like I said, it kind of
I wouldn't have gave it a shit. Like there was some redeeming. Like I said, the sets, the costumes.
yes, but overall, like it can look as good as it can. But if the movie doesn't flow,
yeah, no,
right,
you're right.
then you got to go with your heart on this. But once again, by the end of it, I was like, okay, there's some redemption here, and all of a sudden, 94 Part 2, hey, we're back in gear, and it was pretty dope. Part 2 was pretty dope. So, yeah, PG. That's where I stand on that. So, not bad. 3 PGs and a G. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
And a good. And a good. And a
It
good.
just really solidifies my mantra that they don't make horror movies like they used to.
No, they really
Right.
don't. They really don't. But I mean, you know what? Give them some credit. It's got enough popularity. People are talking about it. It's all over the internet. People like us are
Yep.
reviewing it for them. It's free publicity. They've got Part 4 well in the works apparently. So I don't know if it's going to be tied in any way to Fear Street, the first 3. But apparently the word has come out that they're already knee deep in Part 4. Like it isn't like we're talking about it. No, like they're fucking full out in planning already.
I predict another trilogy with connections to the first, but not a continuation.
Yeah, probably.
A good prediction.
You know, it would be cool because if you got any kind of an anthology type of movie series that all ties into the same town, has some people, you know, Dina appears in an episode, some random, like, some fucking jock, like, runs into her or some shit, and it's like, hey, fucking watch it! You know what I mean? Like, some shit, like, if they make the world seem bigger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And expand on it, then that's cool to me. That's dope. And I'd love to see more supernatural type tales. You know, let's move away from the witch curse of Seraphir now. Let's move into one of these other stories.
The Wendigo of Sunnyvale.
Yeah, let's move into something else. All right.
You should be writing these, Josh.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think it would be dope if they tied it into the Trailer Park Boys.
Sunnyvale. All of a sudden,
I
the
mean,
Sunnyvale
You know what I
Trailer
mean? The
Park.
fucking
yeah.
Ricky rolls up in the shipmobile.
Worst case,
He
Ontario,
just
boys.
rolls into,
Fucking Sunnyvale weekend park supervisor, Randy.
yeah.
That'd be dope.
Oh man, Curse of Leahy.
The cursed bud of weed.
Nice. All right, guys, it's been a great conversation, but it is time, in fact, for us to wrap it up. So with that, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into this episode. Thank you for watching us live on Twitch, if you've done so, and checking out the episodes on Twitch. But once again, later on in the week, these episodes will also be all up on YouTube, Misunderstood Our Company. Check us out there. Also on Facebook, Misunderstood Our Company. We will have audio versions of this available on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. Check us out on Patreon. for that coffee that Tim so magically receives throughout the episodes. That's a good thing. Keeps Tim on on spec with what we're doing. And until next time, Josh.
Optimistic music playing.
I like how your hands were the brackets.
That's right.
I like
That's
that.
right.
I like that.
Oh man, and Aaron.
If you're not good, you're evil.
It's a play on good and evil. Okay.
Yes.
Tim.
Stay safe and stay spooky.
Until next time,
Sultry.
keep it creepy, everybody.
Good night.